Hello everyone and welcome to Gaming FTL. My name is Josh and this week on Indie News we have Polaris GameJam interpretations of Vlambeer's Luftrausers, an Iconoclasts update video and the final post ever on FreeIndieGames. First up, Polaris GameJam series, which originally was intended to be just a televised game jam to show what cool things indie devs did on game jams and how games were made, turned into a kind of reality show. The show was so poorly constructed that it ended up with the developers walking out and approximately $400,000 of makers' money being absolutely wasted. Now the catalyst for this was sexist remarks by one of the producers who was trying to bait out responses for the camera. Developers like Zoe Quinn of Depression Quest, the Arcane Kids of Zenith and Davey Reedon, who created the Stanley Parable, were subjected to shouting at and all manner of horrible things. One of the questions that they got asked was, did the other developers have a disadvantage because there was a pretty woman on their team? Now obviously this is unacceptable, and the Indie Static article that I took this from states that the guy who asked that question and as one of the producers, he lost his job, and I think that's a very suitable punishment, to be fair. Unfortunately the day couldn't be saved, the format could have been changed, but the developers had had enough, so they walked out, and I believe some of the YouTubers went to Disneyland? In response to this, #RebelJam is being organised. I'm not sure when or how it's going to happen, but there will be news on that in the coming week or so, and I'm very excited to see how that comes out. This is a good case study of anyone who does want to create content of indie developers just to show how wrong it can go. On the other hand, people like Two Player Productions have been creating amazing documentaries of the struggles and a bit of insight into how Double Fine work on their game jams and on Broken Age. Bringing in sponsors like Mountain Dew is a bad idea, seeing as the scale on which indie developers work tends to be very small. The interesting part of the game jam for me would have been the struggles people had creating the things, how people work together, and even the games. Everyone is here because they love games, and you don't need to bring in unnecessary drama. To finish this bit on an upbeat note, I think everyone should look out for RebelJam just to see the interesting games that come out of that. Now, after a very successful launch of Vlambeer's Luftrausers, recouping the costs that it took to make the game in approximately 48 hours, people's responses to the game and interpretations of it have been noted on Twitter that people think that the side you are playing as are the Nazis. Quick to respond to this, one half of Vlambeer, Rami, said that everyone's viewpoints and interpretations of their games were valid. However, it was their intention to create a game about super weapons and being the world's best fighter pilot. This interpretation comes from the fact that the blimp, one of the enemies in the game, once you destroy it, there's a cutscene showing Winston Churchill inside it as it goes down. Fortunately, Rami was very civil, explaining that they didn't intend for the side you play as to be the Nazis, only a kind of unnamed superpower that had super weapons. He did offer an apology, saying he apologises for anyone that was reminded of the atrocities that happened during the Second World War. It's so nice to see people civilly ending a debate in the indie community. Everyone's viewpoint was respected, and it ended as well as anyone could have hoped for, especially with an apology and an explanation of exactly what happened. Next up, there's been an update video and some more gameplay footage of Iconoclasts by Konjac. He mentions in the update that feedback he's received shows that people expect the game to be more of a Metroidvania exploration with multiple rooms and very large areas, while what I've seen of it shows that there is exploration and lots of multiple areas. It's much more a linear experience, action puzzle adventure game. If you played the alpha, that's kind of what you can see. There's lots of mechanics that include shooting things and pressing buttons essentially to move platforms, and the puzzle combination with the action adventure thing, lots of bosses. I'm very excited to see how this game turns out. He mentions in the update that he is worried that people won't find it fun because it's more linear than they expect. I can say from a personal viewpoint that he shouldn't be worried about the linearity, as the challenge of the game's puzzles and combat is enough to keep me wanting more, especially with the interesting little bits of story that you see in there. Either way, it's very nice to see people getting excited for the game, and I am eagerly awaiting a release date. Finally, unfortunately I have to end on a very sad note that FreeIndieGames, the website that shows off indie games that no one has to pay for, has made its last post on the website. I have enjoyed using that as a resource to find games to show you, and I'm extremely sad to see it go. Fortunately, they hope to leave it as an archive and have a play a random game button, and also their recommendations for the last 2 years and their favourite games that happened. The website was originally started by developers Terry Kavanagh, Stephen Lavelle, Aquin, Porpentine, Noib and Tim, because they were frustrated at the difficulty of getting a free game noticed. And they do mention in their final post that they're very happy that it's much easier for free indie games to get noticed. Hopefully someone will take up their mantle, create a new website, and even YouTubers like myself and my friends will spend more time looking at free indie games. I'm very grateful to all of them for dedicating their spare time to create a website that so wonderfully captures and promotes these free indie games. Hopefully more people will do the same thing in the future. So thank you everyone for watching. Please do leave your responses to any of the news articles in the comments below. This week I'm wondering where people go to find their free indie games now, and what kind of Game Jam games people have been enjoying in the recent months. Once again, thank you for watching. All of the links in the description will take you to the relevant articles and places on the internet where you can find cool things about indie games. And until next week, goodbye! Just to see the interesting games that come out of that. Thank you.